Hello, this is Craig Hollabaum, the co-founder of the Montrose Makerspace, and this is the first edition of Montrose Makerspace today, which is what happened here at the Makerspace. It's been a very busy day, and this is my first attempt at recording a screencast or a video, and I'm going to post it. And so I've have decided to move to this format because typing in blog entries at the end of the day has been very kind of time consuming because we do so much today at the Makerspace, not even though we're not open yet. So I'm going to resort to recording a 5-minute spot and kind of tell you about what's happening and that we make progress every day. So I wrote down over here a little bit of list of things that I'm going to talk about, and we'll see how this goes. I threw together a tablet that I can record this, and eventually we'll have this we're doing this in our production facility. But for now, I'm just here in my home lab. So at 9 o'clock this morning, I've been working on an app for my phone, and it is a way that I can capture a lot of information, particularly like I got a stack of business cards today, and what I need to do is to capture this information, and I need to have people help me do this, because what do I have here? I have, I don't know, 8 cards that came in today, just today. So this app on the phone, if you look at this, I can attach files, I can take a picture, record an audio file, and you can't see it, but there's a text field up here. And then you hit submit, and so you can take a picture of something, and I can record an attachment that goes along with this, and I can hit submit. And I wrote the PHP backend so that it collects all this stuff, and then there's it timestamps all this information and sticks it in a folder on our website, and someone can come in and actually, a resultant to-do list item will get created from these things that I create on this phone. So I got that kind of finalized, so that part of it, the collection side, works. So I did that from 9 to 10, and at 10 a.m., the bankers from Alpine came over. Alpine's a local bank, and we have Michelle Williams came over, who's their e-banking specialist, Allison Nadell, who's a marketing director there, and Tyler, who's a vice president of the bank, came over, and we gave them a tour, and we also talked about why we want to have Alpine Bank be part of the Makerspace here in Montrose for 2 reasons. One, we have a need to open our own bank account, which we have a check for. We got that yesterday from Abrams Strategic Group, and we're going to open our account with that. And then we're immediately going to write a check for our nonprofit status and get that application in the mail. And the other reason was we're going to have a lot of entrepreneurs come through the Makerspace, and we want to point them towards a local bank for small business loans. And so we want to have an affiliation with a bank, and we also want them to support the Makerspace. And they let us know that through their community support initiative, the Makerspace falls under 3 of their categories: economic development, local economic development, artisan community, as well as education. So we have very large programs for that. And so we kind of see that, they're going to benefit because we're going to send people that want loans there, and then they're going to benefit by donating to the Makerspace and contributing to community activities. So that went on for an hour and a half, and then we had an executive committee meeting. The current executive committee meeting is myself and Kern, who's our business development manager, and our executive director, Susan Lander. We talked about planning for the first Makerspace board meeting, which is going to happen on Monday at 4. And we decided what was the priorities kind of for the meeting, as well as the priorities for the Makerspace. My priorities are to get open by the end of January, and the people that are kind of in the back scenes of this, mainly Kern and Susan, are saying, "No, hold on, there's a lot of stuff we got to do before then," and I agreed with that. So there's a mix there of things we have to do. But I would like to really open the doors, because we've been talking about this for 3 months, and let's just get open and, get something going. There's a lot of things to do. There's probably 10 major items that need to happen before that occurs. We'll get into that in a minute. I actually did have a half an hour to take a break for lunch. And so I went and I caught up on some emails at lunch, got something to eat, and then I'll stop looking over there and kind of focus on this. So the Clary family came in today. The Clarys are fabricators that live in a small town north of here called Paonia, Colorado, and they do very large fabrication. And I asked what large was, and they told us that they work on very large projects for homes. And they gave me an example of a circular stairwell that had a bookcase built into it that actually traversed a 3-story atrium in a house a little south of here in Red Mountain. And so that's the kind of level of things that they do there. They came in, they picked up their son-in-law from the airport. He flew in from New York. And they came through, and they were really interested in some of the equipment that we have, particularly the Haas mill. And they were really excited when we talked about our business model, which is from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're going to do, classes, job shop work, as well as light manufacturing, and then open the doors at 3 to 11 for the makers. And they were very much interested in the morning activity as well as the afternoon for doing other types of fabrication. But they wanted to find out how long it would take for them to be able to get access to the Haas mill, because they were considering buying a desktop milling machine for $3,000 to $5,000. But why would they bother when they can come in and use our $80,000 Haas mill and get the kind of quality that they want to have? So we talked to them a little bit, and we're going to go take a little road trip to Paonia and have a further discussion. And we want to actually fast track the Clarys through to getting access to the mill. I talked to Bill Green a little bit later this evening about that, and he said it was really important that we go for those types of things, because we want to have those machines working. They've been kind of sitting idle for about 2.5 months, and there's no need for that. So he's willing to work with the Clary family and go through that training to get them up to speed so that they can actually start fabricating their future here in our makerspace. So that went on from, the other thing that happened was the son-in-law came in from New York, and he's a graphic artist, and he does branding and website development and those types of things. And so he's here to help them launch some new products out of their company. And as I gave them our brochure and our trifold, we talked about a lot of things, and he looked at the trifold and he said, there's a lot of things you could do to this to actually make it attractive to the youth. And I said, I know that. The trifold was created before a very large presentation we had. I spent a couple hours doing it, and we've been using it now as kind of a marketing tool. And so he actually designs, as part of what he does, t-shirts for youths. And so I actually got an email from him tonight asking, what kind of thing was I thinking about? So I spent about half an hour replying to that with what my vision of what a youth t-shirt would be for the Makerspace. And so we'll have various t-shirts for the Makerspace, because we have these high school students, 75 of them, working on a public arts project here, and we'd like to give them a t-shirt that lets them say, hey, I'm doing this thing, and it's a public arts thing, and I'm supporting the Makerspace, and I'm learning about things. And so I think we're going to go ahead and move forward on that as well, and have them wearing our shirts around town as part of their project that they're doing for school this semester. After the Clarys left, I was late to getting to a meeting with Morgan from Highland Motorcycles here in town. And Morgan is one of the entrepreneurs here in town that has been one of the 5 identified companies that want to use the Makerspace for prototyping as well as for manufacturing. And Morgan is working on a product for motorcycle maintenance. I don't want to publicize it here because we need to get a little further along, but it's going to be one of the very first projects that go through the Makerspace from the entrepreneur's perspective. He's got a very good idea. And we talked a lot about it, and he's actually thought a lot about the roadmap for product development for his particular product and how it kind of fits in with other industries. So it has reach out beside that. But he wants to really concentrate on a very simple version of the prototype. And so it turns out that there's hardware that exists from a Kickstarter project that we can get access to now, and it's a very low cost development platform that we can use and do the prototyping. And then we need an iOS app developer to work a really rudimentary prototype level app for an iPhone. And so I talked to him for about 2 hours about that, and he sees the real need for the makerspace here, and he does really want to publicize the development of his product, and then at some point he wants to manufacture there. And I talked to him about manufacturing, what kind of volume he wanted to have, and he said, well, the first run, a production run, I said, you want to make a couple hundred of these? He goes, no, I want to make 1,000. And I said, yeah, really 1,000, because that really changes the demographic and the pricing model and all that kind of stuff. He goes, why even bother with 200? You're going to immediately sell those, and you're going to need to make some more. So let's just make 1,000 of them. And so I reached down and I said, well, when you get to the point where you want a bank loan, you go talk to Tyler at Alpine Bank, because he was in here this morning, and they're going to want to start a Makerspace loan program. So in one day, that we've potentially are going to connect those two people together, and we're going to do some light manufacturing here of 1,000, ultimately 1,000 pieces for Morgan's company. So then I drove home about 4 o'clock, and I called Kern on the phone, and we discussed this letter from the Montrose Economic Development Committee. We're seeking funding from them because economic development is part of their charter, and we see the Makerspace as being a big part of the economic development for Montrose. So we definitely want to seek out that kind of funding opportunity. So there were some statements in the letter that I want to talk to Kern about, and he's kind of working down those kind of roads. And so, so I got off the phone with Kern, and then I called a friend of mine who is an app phone developer. He lives in Oakland, California, and he basically does strictly data on phone apps, for lawyers and nonprofits and those kind of things. And I talked to him about this project for Morgan's company, and I said, look, if you want to get involved in this, I think this is something that you want to do from a professional standpoint, that you could say, I've done this product, because the company that actually sells this thing and did this Kickstarter is in San Francisco. And I think if you were to go over there and want to get a job with them as a phone developer for this piece of hardware that they kickstarted, to have a project that's already completed would be a big selling point, and they wouldn't have to train you to do that. And so you could get your training through this project with Morgan, and then the flip side is you would probably get a trip to Colorado, and then you could go skiing and Telluride, and you could put that off as a business expense, because that's what you have to do here. So that's a good thing. So he's going to look into that. I'm going to send him the API URL for this. It's a BLE accelerator, accelerometer type of device. I think it's called a blue bean, something like that. I found it last week. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a $30 hardware device that's designed for doing Bluetooth low energy as accelerator, and it also has an Arduino processor on it. So it's very easy to program. It's very easy to integrate in with the iOS at this point, because they have an SDK for iPhone apps. So that was 4:30 to 5:30. I also scheduled a meeting with David Crane, who came to a Rotary meeting last week and donated $10,000 worth of video production to us, to the Makerspace, as part of his contribution. So I want to take advantage of that. And I want him to direct and kind of drive this project to record these students doing this public art exhibit. And I want to kind of tell him what I think my vision is for that. I have a very specific thing I want to achieve. And if he could actually start recording, as they make their progress through their design, and then, go from there. that would be good. So I got a little dinner, and I went back over to the Makerspace tonight at 7 o'clock for the 7 o'clock tour. And I figured this week was going to be important because we had a front page article in the newspaper in the B1 section of the paper. It was a full page story about the Makerspace, and we also had I was quoted in an article today about economic development here in Montrose, and so I figured this week was very important that I go over and give special attention to tours this week. But no one showed up, so that was fine because I gave an update to Annie. Annie is Ross's wife, and Ross, and we kind of talked about all the activity that happened today, and it was really a busy day, and that went on from about 7 to 8, and Bill Green was over there doing some production for Houck Engineering on the Haas Mill, and he wrapped up around 8:30, and then I had a conversation with him. And let me see if I'm going to get everything right here. Yeah, so we talked about what was involved on the training side, because Bill's going to kind of spearhead the activity to get the first training classes done. Basically, the BOS 100, which is our introduction to the Makerspace and shop safety and some basic tools. It's a free class that all the makers have, and actually they have to take that in order to actually get in the facility. So we talked about what was involved in getting that done, and he said, well, we need to find some people to actually be our alpha testers for that. So they have to come through and there comes a dog. Okay, so we have to do alpha testers. So I called a friend of mine who's a local jeweler in town named Dan Klein. He works at the Ray Silversmiths. And I said, look, hey, can you, and your roommate, who's also a Dan, can you come in here and be our alpha testers for this training? And we'd really like for you to come in and learn about what we're doing here, and then also give us a critique of the content that we're going over for that. And they said they'd be happy to do that for us, knowing that at some point they're going to be members here at the Makerspace, no doubt. Actually, they'll be instructors here because one of them is an experienced jeweler and the other one is an experienced video installer. So well, he wants to learn about Arduino programming, but they're going to be makers here, and so it's going to be their contribution to us to help us out get started. And then we're going to run that through a beta tester after we do the revision on the content for that. We're going to do a beta test, go through the beta testing, and then we'll be ready to kind of have a real class for the new members. So got that done. How are we looking? Wow, we're at 18 minutes. Well, so much for 5 minutes. All right. First one, never know what's going to happen. Like I said, it was a busy day. If I had to type all this in, you wouldn't get to know all the content in this information. So, at 9 o'clock, I was getting a little drowsy, so I went and walked the dogs, and it's kind of cold here tonight, so I got a blast of fresh air, and that gave me some more energy to come back and do another couple hours. And I got back, and so I replied to Edward from New York. He's the graphic designer that was at the Makerspace earlier. And he contacted me and said, hey, what are you thinking about for this t-shirt? And so I wrote him back a very large description of what was going on. And he complimented me on my t-shirt I'm wearing today. So I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm wearing one of my Petrode t-shirts today. Not too many people know what that is, but a lot of old ham guys do. And so he said, this is what I want. This is kind of what I think. What do you think about it? And so we'll see what happens tomorrow on that. Then Friday, I actually planned for tomorrow. I didn't get a lot of stuff done. There's a lot of extra things I got to do for tomorrow. And so I went and used put those on my calendar for tomorrow. And then at 11:30, I started, I said, let me figure out how to do the Makerspace today. So I found my tablet, and I have a C-clamp holding it onto my table. And so then I just yacked here for the last 15 minutes. And what I want to try to do this as a format, just to let you know, and to everyone else, if you want to come and see what's happening at the Makerspace today. It may not look like we're doing something, but it actually, we are doing things every day, and I'm spending at least 6 hours a day on trying to get open and get everything in line for all the different things we promised, and we're still on track with all that. I did get a call from Scott Stryker. He was supposed to come over at 6:30 and talk about our lounge. He postponed that till Tuesday because somebody else is coming into town that he wants to run through. It's a very high profile person that wants to move to Montrose, and he would love to get involved in our thing and teach some of our welding classes. So that's going to happen on Scott's going to come in early before the board meeting on Monday and talk about the lounge, and then on Tuesday he's going to bring in somebody from Reclametals as well as this other person he talked about tonight. So what time is it now? It's almost midnight. So I've been going at it for 15 hours today. I'm getting kind of tired, so I'm going to cut it off right here. And thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more activity at the Montrose Makerspace.